Hello and welcome to the Calmcast, a time to feel calm and think clearly. I'm Claire Downham, the Queen of Calm, a transformational life coach. I was a burnt-out head teacher who finally made the journey to calm after years of trying, and I want to prevent you from having to do the same. The Calmcast is a series of short explorations, gently guiding you back to your natural state, which is calm and clarity. Just listen like you would listen to music, with an open mind and curiosity. There's nothing else to do. Now let's relax into today's episode. So today's episode is called How Thought Works. And you know, there's a combination here of truths and things really that I've noticed about how thought works, that my personal experience has been over the last couple of years as to what happens to thoughts, where they come from and all that kind of thing. And it comes off the back of a post that I saw on LinkedIn by a lovely lady called Amy Elliott. And she was having a little bit of a rant at people about how, somebody posts something on LinkedIn and that people don't like, or a number of people don't like. And the people who don't like what this person has said then jump onto this post and comment on it and like it and respond to it or react to it, really, probably quite a lot of keyboard anger going on there. And then, of course, those people see more of those kinds of posts, that kind of information. And then they moan more because they're seeing more of the same kind of things, because that's how an algorithm, which, if you don't know, is the system by which social media decides what you see. So, you'll have all had those moments on social media, whichever platform you happen to hang around on, where you've suddenly thought, oh, I haven't really seen any posts from so-and-so for a while. And if you go into their actual profile, you'll find they've been posting like Billy-O, but for some reason you haven't been seeing them. Perhaps once or twice you didn't like their post or didn't comment on it, and now the social media platform says, oh, you don't want to see content from this person, or you don't want to see this type of content. And so in that way, you can kind of curate your timelines on these social media platforms, because if you like or comment on things that you don't like and don't really want to hear about, well, you'll just see more of those. Now, what I loved about this post was that as I read it, first of all, it was very amusing and funny. And if you follow me anywhere, I'll direct you to the post because it was really good. But also, it really brought to mind that it is a wonderful metaphor for how we work and what I've noticed about the workings of the human mind and how thought seems to work. So, not that long ago, I went through a phase, probably from about autumn 2016 to the beginning of 2020, or mid 2020, really. I went through a phase of trying to control my thinking and my feelings. So I did that in a number of different ways. I did all the traditional tools and techniques you might expect, like gratitude journals and meditation and things like that. And my main focus was around trying to be more motivated, trying to have less thinking that said, oh, you don't need to do that, or why not sit on the sofa and do less, or why not go over here and be distracted by this thing. So I wanted to control my thinking in that way. And I got to a point, I suppose, where I was just about okay, like it, it was still very up and down, still had a lot of those thoughts I didn't want to have. I was kind of grasping onto it with my fingernail ends, kind of doing all this tools and techniques to try and almost suppress my thinking or get rid of it in some way. Now, what I've seen over the last sort of 2.5 years is that as it has made less and less sense to do that, and that has come from a journey of an exploration called the 3 principles, or the inside out understanding, into how we work as human beings. So What happened was, for a long time, I was very focused on the thinking and the feelings, experiences I didn't want to have. And I've spent years, I mean, not even just from that 2016 point, after I left my teaching career and started my business, but even before that, when I would, my relationship with food was a great big thing for a really long time. It's trying to force myself to behave in a different way about that. There's been other things all through my life that have been of that nature. So I'd spent a lot of time focusing on Claire. How's Claire doing? What's she doing? Is she thinking the right things? Is she feeling the right things? Very kind of focused. Don't know why I'm talking about myself in the third person, but anyway, I was very focused on me, and all the concentration, the energy was going into noticing those thoughts I didn't want to have and trying to address them and deal with them. And then when I came across the 3 principles, I literally turned my back on it all. So I literally turned and faced the other way. And I got engaged in this really interesting conversation about how human beings work, what thinking's all about, what our feelings mean, not in a kind of, not in a psychoanalytical way, but in a, feelings mean we're thinking a particular way. That's it. Simplification of everything, really. And so I went from a place of an awareness plus judgment. So I was very aware before about the way I thought, but I was very judgmental. So I shouldn't be having thoughts like that, and I shouldn't be thinking like that, and I need to do something about it. So a lot of attention on my thinking, a lot of thinking about my thinking almost. And then I stopped doing that, and I just got interested in this really fabulous conversation and this group of people who were talking in a very different way about how things worked. So I guess what happened was I stopped being so bothered about what things I thought. And the first time I became aware of this, and I hope this doesn't upset anybody because it's not meant to, but I was visiting a couple of years ago. I was visiting this place called Harry Rocks, which is on the coast near Bournemouth, and it's some big rocks sticking out into the ocean. It's beautiful to look at, but it's one of those places where there's a cliff like there, and just in front of you, and there's no fence, there's nothing to stop you falling off the cliff or jumping off it. And the thought that passed my mind was, I wonder if people deliberately jump off this cliff. And in the past, I would have felt awful. Why am I thinking that thought? That's a terrible thought. I didn't decide to I didn't consciously go, let's have a thought about people jumping off a cliff. It wasn't like that. It just came. So because of that, I didn't find myself judging it as being wrong or being upset about it or angry about it or, oh my God, I need to get some help because I shouldn't be thinking like that. I just shared it with my fiance because it was a good point of reflection as we were both on this exploration about the inside out understanding and the 3 principles. Shared it with him. We had a little conversation about it, and then it was gone. But I didn't feel bad about it. I didn't make it mean anything about me. I didn't give it loads of energy. There was an awareness and an observation of it and a kind of commentary. Oh, that's really interesting. Fancy thinking that, but not a kind of, oh God, that's terrible. And so there wasn't this great big ton of meaning about it, and therefore it didn't carry on. I didn't have loads and loads of thoughts about it for the rest of the day. It was just gone. It was finished with. And that was the first time I kind of had that, I don't have to make a meaning out of a thought. It's just, they just happen. They're a conglomeration of all sorts of nonsense from our past and goodness knows what else. Who cares, really? And what we see in our circumstances may bring a particular thought to mind. But there's no control. We don't have any control over that. So what I've noticed, where I've stopped looking at myself and judging me as being not okay and giving it loads of energy, and then just looking over here, and there's been an awareness rising. I am aware that I have now certain patterns of thinking. 85% of what I thought yesterday is the same things I think today. But it's just awareness. It's the judgment, just the same as with the algorithm, us judging somebody else's opinion or post or ideas as being wrong, and then angrily commenting and liking or not liking, or there is a note, not like is really not on most social media platforms. The commenting that we do, it brings more awareness and more attention to that particular content. And it's the same with our thinking. The more attention, the more wrongification you do, the more you're like, I shouldn't be thinking like that, I should be thinking differently. All of that just gives it more energy. And then what happens is those kind of thoughts, the ones you don't want, first of all, you notice them more, and second of all, they turn up more. I don't know which of those is the bigger proportion, but that's generally what seems to me to happen. So what I've noticed over the last couple of years is lots of things I used to think I don't think anymore. Just those thoughts just don't turn up. And when I notice something that I want to kind of have a different relationship, it really is just awareness. Like at the moment, I'm trying to not sneak to the shop for a diet Pepsi Max. It's cherry Pepsi Max. That's the one that I tend to drink because I've noticed that caffeine doesn't make me feel particularly good and gives me a headache. So I'm noticing the thought, oh, you've had a long walk and it's really warm and something cold and fizzy would be lovely. Go to the shop and buy a drink. And then I'm noticing that I'm just noticing it and going, oh, there it is again. But without giving it the energy, what I'm noticing is turning up less. And the thought that I've got a soda stream machine that my daughter left in our house and some squash at home, and I could make a nice fizzy orange juice or something, kind of, it's fine. So that is, to me, seems what I've seen in real life, what I've seen about how thought works. And it is helpful to know that there's a lot less to do than we think about our thinking, and that it works just like that algorithm. Too much attention on thoughts you don't want to have, even if you're trying to change them for better thoughts, in inverted commas, it doesn't really help and tends to bring more of the same up. And then there's more to do, and I'm all for less to do, really. So enjoy exploring that and noticing it. Thank you so much for listening. There's nothing to do now but bring some awareness to how this is working out in your life. Listen regularly to experience longer and longer periods of calm. This has been the Calmcast with Claire Downham, Queen of Calm. Take care and keep listening.